frosty morning to everyone. I now call the December 7th, 2023 Administrative Briefing and Work Session of the Marion County School Board to order at 9 a.m. Please silence your electronic devices to avoid disturbing others. Mirroring and modeling how our students begin each day, I ask that you please pause with us for a moment of silence. Thank you. I now ask the school board attorney to explain the rules for this work session. Good morning, Attorney Powers.
Good morning, Madam Chair. This work session is a public meeting as defined in Florida's Sunshine Law. The board is dedicated to full transparency in its meetings and its work. In compliance with the Sunshine Law, the board has adopted uniform meeting procedures, including the right for citizens to participate. The board will allow public comment regarding any work session item listed on today's agenda at the appropriate time. Speakers must fill out a request form located in the lobby and hand it to the board clerk. After the board and superintendent have completed their discussion on a particular agenda item, the board clerk will call the speaker's name in the order received. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. As required by the Sunshine Law, the board must maintain orderly conduct and proper decorum throughout the meeting. Speakers may criticize subject matter and decisions in a respectful manner, but not people. Finally, speakers must be very careful not to violate the privacy rights of others, especially students and their family members, by mentioning their names or other identifying information. Thank you for your attention to these important rules.
Thank you, Attorney Powers. Ms. Martinez, would you please provide the proof of publication for today's meeting?
The notice for the December 7, 2023 work session was published in the Ocala Gazette on November 24, 2023. Proof of publication has been attached to board docs under proof of publication.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. We will now begin the work session with the superintendent's administrative briefing. Good morning, Dr. Gullett.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Nice to see you this morning. I'm going to ask Ms. Debick to come forward. As my briefing today, I'd like her to provide an update from the technical working group, which met since we last had a public board meeting. So wanted to provide some update. I was there. I know Chair Thrower, you were there as well and serving as chair in that capacity. But just to inform the board and the public about where we are, and the conversation also included impact fees, which we've been providing regular updates on. So thank you, Ms. Debick.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, board members, and Superintendent Dr. Gullett. As Dr. Gullett mentioned, last Monday following the special school board meeting, we did hold a technical working group meeting. Per the interlocal agreement, all parties were invited, and everyone did attend with the exception of Reddick and McIntosh. During the meeting, we shared with the group the board's consensus from earlier that morning, last Monday, about the decision to have Benish conduct an expanded study that includes tiers based on square footage for the multifamily apartment category. There was also additional discussion about what the timeline would look like once we received those results back, and we had conversation about when the next joint meeting should take place, which per the ILA needs to happen in the first quarter of the year. We also had conversation around data and data exchange and the purpose of the technical working group. Also in the first quarter of the year, Marion County Public Schools is responsible for scheduling the next 2 technical working group meetings, so that will happen once we get back from winter break in January. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Debick. Board, any questions for Ms. Debick or Dr. Gullett?
She said that we're responsible for setting the dates. How soon? When do we need to do that? I'm ready for us to go ahead and try
I believe Ms. Debick shared that those dates would be proposed after winter break.
Correct, yes.
Proposed? They'll be proposed after winter break?
Yes, so we are responsible for the scheduling of them in the first quarter of the year, meaning having the conversations for the rest of 2024. So once we get back from winter break, the team will decide which dates those are and then schedule those out for 2024.
Thank you.
Any more? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Debick. All right.
That concludes my briefing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett. So we'll go ahead and move on then to our first agenda item, which is Achieve 2026 Goal 5 Update.
Perfect. So I'm going to ask for Ms. Debick to come forward again. And so
Welcome back.
As a reminder, we continue to provide updates to the board and to the public about our strategic plan and our goal and our progress with our outcomes and our strategies. And so, and just a reminder, board, we will be coming back again in second semester with any updates to the plan, as we have been committed to this being something that's actually flexible and fluid and based on the needs of our district. So we'll be looking for that after we conclude this round of updates from the goal. But this is goal 5, and we're looking at communications, community engagement, and the progress to date. So thank you, Ms. Devick.
Thank you. Good morning. This morning, I am joined by Mr. Kevin Christian, Director of Public Relations, and Ms. Megan Magamal, Executive Director of the Public Education Foundation of Marion County. Unfortunately, Mr. Davis is under the weather, so he is not able to join us this morning. But this morning, we will provide updates to Goal 5 of the district's strategic plan, Achieve 2026, which is related to communications and community engagement. Under communications and community engagement, it's focused on increasing dialogue, partnerships, and collaboration to meet stakeholder needs and productively engage them in our successes. In order to measure our success, it is imperative that we hold ourselves accountable for the work that is being done. So at this time, I would like to report on the outcome metrics for Goal 5. The first 2 outcome metrics I do want to mention, we have changed our measuring tool from when we first started doing these updates. So we are now using the results of the Cognia survey, which that went out for the first time a few weeks ago. The first outcome metric is increase the percentage of families indicating satisfaction with district-wide communication. The baseline number is 66%. Our target is 90%. The second outcome metric, increase the percentage of staff indicating satisfaction with district-wide communication. The baseline number is 65% with a target of 90%. The third outcome metric, increase the number of families participating in family-focused in-person events. In 2023, the number so far is 222, and we have a target of 300. The next outcome metric is increase the number of families participating in family-focused virtual events. In 2023, our number is 458, and we have a target number of 500. Our next outcome metric is increase the number of followers across the district's social media platforms, and those include the district's Facebook page, X, which was previously Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. In 2023, our current number is 19,324 followers with a goal of 25,000. And then the last outcome metric is increase the number of community partnerships with Marion County Public Schools. We have started to create a community partner database, and this is based on, at this time, partners we have MOUs with, partners in our faith-based community, as well as Public Education Foundation business partners. That number is 185, and we have a goal of 500. This is a brand-new database, so we will continue to build this up as the time goes on.
Ms. Debick?
Yes.
Just to clarify, you shared the baseline is 185, but what I'm reading on here is the target is 350, and you shared 500? I'm just trying to confirm.
Oh, it is. My mistake. It is 350, sorry.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. My notes had an error. It is 350.
It'd be great to have 500, and, that's a
We can maybe do that next year, depending on how the numbers are looking. We might have to move it up a little bit.
That's right. Let's get to 350 first.
Thank
And then I
you.
do have one more clarifying question, and that is, at the very top, increasing the percentage of families indicating satisfaction with district-wide communication, baseline 66, target 90. 2023 so far, it's still saying 66%, and then the one below it, matches baseline 65 with 65, 2023. Is that because of the Cognia and the shift?
Correct. So when we did our update back in January, we used results from the Title I survey where this question was indicated. We just had the question about families at that point and not the staff satisfaction. So we did move to the Cognia survey at this point. I will say with the Title I survey, the results were higher, but moving in the direction for using results from Cognia that we wanted to make things consistent across the board with the different survey tools we were utilizing.
Okay, great. So the next time we see numbers, it'll be based on Cognia.
Correct. And this number is based on Cognia. This is the baseline for
Okay.
Cognia.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, I have a question if we're asking questions while we're on this slide. Thank you, Chair. My question, Ms. Debick, because this is the only slide we're going to have actual metrics on, obviously. Of these metrics for community engagement and communications, does the community engagement and communications team control all of the communication for each of these items? And I'm going to specifically speak to family focus events, because I believe it's a different department that manages family focus. And so I'm just curious on how the communication crossover occurs whenever essentially this is a metric that is in your department, the department of all the folks that are going to be speaking to us today, but that event itself is controlled by another department.
That is correct. We work very closely with professional leadership and learning, where family focus is planned from, and we are starting to have more collaboration even as the days go on. So for next week, actually, we are doing a Facebook Live for the Family Focus virtual, where we are working in tandem with that team. So we are continuing to collaborate and to work together. The communications and community engagement team is responsible for the promotional pieces for these events that go out, but we are working more closely on the planning of these events together as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And, there's 19 slides here, Board, and I find it a lot more productive if we do have definite and specific questions about a slide, to just go ahead and ask them and then keep moving, rather than have to make a list and then, go back to slide 4 and then slide 10. I'm wondering how the rest of the board feels about trying it that way today. Sure. We're good? Okay. All right. Keep rolling, Ms. Devitt.
All right, we will move into strategy 5A related to goal 5, which is expand community partnerships to increase student learning opportunities. So I would like to share with you this morning some of the key activities that we have been doing. The first is the attendance campaign. Communications and community engagement has been working closely with the Mental Health and Wellness Department on the Showing Up Together year-long attendance campaign. We have been having various attendance meetings with both internal and external stakeholders, including elected officials, to see what could be done at even the state level to help with our attendance numbers. The second key activity is community presentations. Our team has been helping coordinate leadership to present at community presentations. So far this year, we have done over 10, including the Kiwanis Club, Rotary, the CEP Friday Talks, Marion County Children's Alliance, and other community meetings. Peach Jar is a tool that we use. It's a communication tool that gives the ability to send flyers from community partners as well as internal messages. In 2023, so far, we have sent 2,228 flyers, with 274 of those being internal flyers. The next key activity is collaboration with local governments. There's been a lot of conversation about the impact fees and interlocal agreement, as we heard this morning, but some of the other initiatives that we partner with our local governments on include the No Horsing Around with Marion County campaign. We also participated in Bring the Harvest Home for the second year. That was last week. And then we also partner with the county on Mission Bus Brigade for school supplies for our students. The next key activity is Leadership MCPS. We are halfway through Class 2 of Leadership MCPS this year. A change we made with this year's class was to start the class at the same time school started, so they roll as the same time as the school year. And I did want to share some Class 1 feedback with you. 100% of people who completed the survey from Class 1 said they were very satisfied with Leadership MCPS and would recommend the program to a colleague, friend, or family member. Additionally, when asked to name and elaborate on one thing you learned during one of the Leadership MCPS sessions, one person answered, "All of the behind-the-scenes things that go on to run this district is incredible. Parents have no idea the intricacy and involvement in the intentional practices that occur. Our kids truly are the #1 priority, and it shows." Another key activity is our partnership with the veterans. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Christian and Mr. Davis for their work on the Veterans Day ceremony that was back in November. In addition to the Veterans Day ceremony, we do hold regular meetings with our veterans groups and are plugged in with the Veterans Council, and I know that they do Stuff the Bus, so that's also providing school supplies for our students. Continuing on with Strategy 5A with other key activities. The Dads on Duty Mentorship Program. This is a program that piloted at Fort King Middle School last year. We are working with the group on identifying additional men throughout the community who want to be part of this program. I do know that they've expanded to Lake Weir this year, so we're excited to see which schools they go to next. The next key activity is Back to School Community Give Back. This was the second year the annual Back to School Community Give Back event was held in partnership with the Community Foundation of Marion County and Advent Health Ocala. At this event, 7,000 backpacks were distributed across 10 different locations, with events being held different days and in different parts of the county, making access to the backpacks and supplies easier for families. Other partners supplied hygiene products, educational materials, physicals, and Marion County Fire Rescue fitted and provided 545 free helmets. The next key activity under Strategy 5A is engagement with state legislators. We did receive the $5.57 million appropriation request for a facility expansion at Marion Technical College, and we do have another appropriation request in for this upcoming session. The next key partner is the Ocala Chamber and Economic Partnership. We partner with the CEP on next working events. These give students the opportunity to connect with and learn from professionals in the industries they may be interested in. We also have the Equine Initiative with the CEP, as well as having members from the team attend principal meetings to talk about needs assessments for CTE, as well as growth updates in the Ocala metro area. The next community partner is the Marion County Hospital District. This partnership has expanded to include the Community Home Project at Howard Academy, the Supportive Enforcement Program, and we continue to work with the hospital district on the FANS initiative in our schools. And then Career Source has been a wonderful partner as well. They partner with us on the Youth Career Expo, and they are a sponsor of several district events throughout the year. Before I hand it over to Ms. Magamal to talk about Public Education Foundation key activities for Strategy 5A, are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Devick. Board. I just want to say thank you so much, and Dr. Gullett, it has been amazing to watch the expansion and the outreach into the community and the inreach from the community to us. It's very exciting to see all of these initiatives in place and growing with so much vibrancy. So thank you for sharing this really uplifting, these uplifting slides. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Ms. Debick, and good morning, school board members. It is wonderful seeing you all again today. The Public Education Foundation of Marion County serves as the 501c3 nonprofit direct support organization for Marion County Public Schools, with the mission to financially and materially support our schools, students, and teachers. Our actions focus community interest on public education, initiating support and underwriting projects and programs to ultimately benefit students, teachers, administrators, and of course, our district overall. The work of our foundation supports the district goals in many ways, and today I will be speaking to Goal 5 specifically, starting with Strategy 5A, expanding community partnerships to increase student learning opportunities. The following partnerships are entirely new partnerships between our foundation and Marion County Public Schools as of this last school year. Working in partnership with the Consortium of Florida Education Foundations, we are working with our district's mental health and wellness team to work on building student resiliency. This work began this past summer with the foundations supporting the multidisciplinary trainings hosted by the mental health and wellness team during back to school. Going forward, our partnership includes the following: development of trauma-informed care, training for staff, customized school-based resiliency initiatives at each of our schools, support for enhanced implementation of the district's Habitudes and Caring Schools Communities programming, and expanding opportunities to work with local youth mentoring agencies. Through the Foundation's partnerships with local donors and organizations such as Mackenzie's Moment, we've also been working hand in hand with our Safe Schools team to facilitate close to $250,000 investment in projects with the ultimate goal to make schools safer, faster. Our foundation is working in partnership with the Career and Technical Education team. Specifically, an example of this would be the partnership with the World Equestrian Center, which began last year and continued into this school year to support students who are interested in culinary and hospitality careers. Just this last month, celebrity chefs traveled with us to each of the culinary programs in our schools. and then took a group of students to the World Equestrian Center, where they competed in a live competition with those celebrity chefs during a weekend festival. The proceeds from that actual festival from WEC will go directly to our foundation and be distributed to each of our culinary programs to support our students in their schools. As a part of a new 2-year partnership with the Frederick DeLuca Foundation and the Consortium of Florida Education Foundations, our consortium, we are provided targeted support to also increase student interest in healthcare careers, participate in our healthcare career academies, and ultimately have higher completion rate of healthcare certifications. Through this specific initiatives, we are now exploring a new partnership to create a behavioral mental health technician certification pathway for interested high school students in Marion County. With this partnership, we could be the second school district in the state of Florida to bring this opportunity to our students. Combining all of these partnerships, this is an investment of approximately $650,000 to increase student learning opportunities. Additional examples of partnerships where our foundation serves ultimately as a fiscal agent of sorts in development of student learning opportunities. And one amazing example of this is the Black Stallion Reading Partnership, where the Ocala Horse Alliance, they are the heart and soul behind that partnership being possible. They are working to literally and figuratively harness the power of horses and support literacy in each of our elementary schools. We support Launching Literacy in the Community initiative through a partnership with Pilot Company, which has afforded the purchase of a book vending machine now located at Discovery Center. The foundation continues to partner with Marion County Tax Collector Office to be the fiscal agent for the Kids Tag Art program for our schools. We are in continued partnership with the Felburn Foundation, Duke Energy Foundation, Lockheed Martin, and additional STEM supporters to continue advancing the STEM education opportunities located at our very own Silver River Museum, Silver River Education Center, and Science Lab. We work on expanding college readiness opportunities, including a new partnership with the Florida Lottery to promote student awareness and achievement of Florida Bright Future scholarships. The foundation also supported the new development of the Ocala Film Derby this year that was created from the brainstorming of our Marion County Public Schools Audio Visual Arts Business Advisory Council. Another new partnership this year between the foundation and our district is to support family-focused initiatives. That's led to financial support for the in-person family-focused events, as well as helping outfit that amazing mobile unit that you all got to see recently. And hot off the press, we have a donor who has stepped up with a new partnership to support our homeless program with a contribution of $5,000 to ensure the Angel Tree for our homeless families has no family without gifts for the holiday season. And now I'd like to transition on to our signature programs of the foundation, if I may. Yes?
Everybody good so far? Figured we'd have you complete your slides and then we'll
Keep on going.
questions. That's right.
Our senior scholarship for the class of 2023 managed 64 senior scholarship opportunities for a total value of $89,000 awarded to our students who graduated Marion County Public Schools. Through the Foundation's Tools for Teaching program, we provided over $500,000 in classroom supplies last school year to equip teachers with the tools for their students to be successful in their classroom. We do survey our teachers regularly to find out what items are most needed so that as we are purchasing items or partnering with donors to donate product, we know exactly what's needed in the classroom. But we also find out through our teacher surveys a lot more about what those provided items do to support our students. And I'd like to share one quote. Most of my students come to school with no school supplies at all. For most of our families, supplies can become very costly for them. Therefore, those students feel inadequate next to those students in class whose families can afford those supplies. Every student deserves the supplies they need to feel successful. I give each of my students those supplies. No one is singled out or ashamed of where they come from or what they do or do not have. They can all be on the same level. Shopping at Tools for Teaching allows me to afford these things for my students so they can feel good about school. Our school business partner program. Our staff and board of directors works to ensure business partners are matched with each school in our district. The last 2 schools have been historic with record number of partners, an investment of close to $200,000 per school or per year. We are on track to meet our goal this year again, currently with 72 partnerships committed, with a goal of being over 80 for the school year. And through our Take Stock in Children program, we provide scholarships, mentors, and hope to deserving low-income students. This year, we accepted a record number, 57 8th grade students from our school district to join our program. We graduated 51 students from the class of 2023. The total award amount, $903,000 in scholarships to those students that graduated from our Take Stock in Children program. It is all because of partnerships with our scholarship donors and our volunteer mentors that make this program possible. With the Foundation's Grants for Great Idea programs, we partner directly with teachers and principals and their schools to encourage innovation and inspiration in their classrooms. We focus on STEM education, literacy, increasing graduation rates, assisting low-performing students, career and technical education, and supporting our students in need. In the last 2 weeks, we have awarded funding in a total of $111,000 to support those schools' innovative ideas. They are great ideas to support our students. Before I move on to Mr. Christian, may I answer any questions about the Public Education Foundation slides?
Thank you, Ms. Magamol. Board?
Okay. I do not have any questions. I just want to say thank you for the work that you do as I listen to you go through all of these programs and opportunities that you provide. It is so heartwarming because they touch our students on the most basic level. And many of them, even though they're listed under student support opportunities, they also support our staff. And as we all know, education is a difficult career to be in right now. And so I just find all of these things uplifting, and I thank you for your continued support for our students and our staff. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Conrad.
Vice Chair? Dr. James?
I love everything the Public Ed Foundation does. There's not a program that isn't amazing. I started being a Take Stock mentor in August, and I'm enjoying that experience. I encourage every business who has $3,000 to give to be a business partner. School leaders having that discretionary money is a game changer. They're able to do things on their campus for their teachers and their students that they would not otherwise be able to do. And so those discretionary funds are a game changer. We just do such amazing stuff through the foundation, and I'm so grateful. Yesterday was just another great example of our Golden Apple Caravan, and just watching the raw human emotion getting recognized just warms my heart. You know, everyone experiences that a little differently. All the teachers and support staff who are recognized have different responses, but just the raw human emotion and love for their kids and their students cheering for them. I think that's the part that warms my heart the most, is when the students are so excited. So I'm always grateful for what the Public Ed Foundation does. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. James. Board Member Campbell?
Thank you, Chair. It was a pleasure to serve again on the Public Ed Foundation Board this past year, and it has been an amazing opportunity to be a thought partner and idea generator, and I love to see the fruition of some of the great ideas that have come out of those board meetings and one-on-ones and all. I appreciate everything that you and your team does. I know it's a team effort at the foundation, despite struggles that you all experienced this year that we all weren't expecting and could not imagine how you continue to move on. But you are, and you continue to push forward, doing everything, connecting our students in classrooms. And yesterday also was icing on the cake, where you have so many full circle moments that we saw yesterday with amazing educators in our classrooms that not only are receiving a golden apple, but also have been benefactors of, or have benefited from, multiple programs within the Public Ed Foundation, from a teacher-to-be scholarship recipient who is now a Rookie Teacher of the Year, to a former Take Stock in Children student who received her college scholarship so she could then become a teacher, now teaching in school and doing an amazing, amazing job. It was just full circle, and it was just really great to see. I am overjoyed by the expression and all that you are doing, and continue to strongly support you in any way. I know I'm not on the board anymore, but in any way, I mean, I know this full board does that and mirrors that response, but anything that I personally can do from this seat, I too encourage every business and even churches to say $3,000, go partner with a school. It really can make a huge impact. So thank you so much, Megan. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell.
Thank you. Board Member Cummings?
Thank you, Ms. Megan Moore. As everyone has said, you guys do a tremendous work. I think sometimes you're like a little-known secret to a lot of folk, because you're doing so many great things, and truly an asset to not only students, but the teachers as well. Yesterday was really good. We talk about the Golden Apple Caravan, but I look at that group of people that were recognized yesterday, but I don't want us to forget that we also recognize our school-related employees as well through the Public Education Foundation. So you guys continue to be one of the best public education, I want to say the best in the state of Florida. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, Board Member Cummings, and I concur. Thankful, grateful, blessed to have you and your team and everything that you do. I'm especially excited about all the new partnerships, the Celebrity Chefs event, the relevance of that. You know, kids, that's very relatable right now, and matching, you know, what's going on, the great things that are going on in society that kids are relating to is so important, in my opinion. And helping our middle school kids, you know, they're bridging into young adulthood, and we all know how awkward that can be. So continuing to find programs that will inspire them is really important. So just thanks again for everything. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, Chair Thrower, and I echo your sentiment. We are thankful, grateful, and blessed to have the opportunity to do this work. Thank you all.
Thank you.
And now, I would like to ask Mr. Kevin Christian, our Director of Public Relations, to continue in discussion of Strategy 5B.
Such an uplifting morning so far.
Yes, and let me just say for a moment, good morning to each of you and happy Friday Eve. As a permanent member of the Foundation Board of Directors, I so appreciate the words of encouragement and support that you show continuously for our foundation, because the foundation, in my opinion, not only does things, but does so with tremendous success and tenacity. And I'm just grateful to serve there, and I'm grateful that our board and everyone up on that stage supports our foundation. So thank you for that. All right, now for my official part. So, Strategy 5B calls for us to strengthen two-way district communication and engagement with families and with our community. So in an effort to reach more people in our targeted audiences and to increase communication both ways with our families and employees, we have accomplished the following. We've expanded the exposure of Fast Facts, our quick snapshot of recent school board decisions. These are now available on the school board webpage for quicker access, in addition to the public relations homepage. Each issue, as you know, is emailed to every employee when each meeting concludes in an effort to keep our internal audience current with your decisions and with your direction. We have developed a series of town hall gatherings for Superintendent Gullett to listen to community concerns and lead roundtable discussions. This is a direct opportunity for two-way, face-to-face communication in a very personal manner. So far, 2 of those town hall meetings have taken place, with 2 more scheduled in coming months. We have stepped up usage of Skylert messaging. 3.1 million messages have been sent so far to families this year, compared with 2.6 million messages last year. Now, I know that sounds tremendous, but keep in mind, when we send messaging, we typically send phone call, email, text. So some of those numbers could be repetitive for individual families. Still, though, it's a tremendous amount. We hover around 93% success rate for that Skylert messaging, and for employees, the number is over 257,000 messages, up from 225,000 last year. We have also increased the open rate of our MCPS Messenger newsletter to 53%, and you might say, well, my goodness, 53%. Keep this in mind. The national average open rate for newsletters is far less, under 38%. We have increased our YouTube viewing audiences, where we share school board meetings, work sessions, and other local productions. We have just over 8,700 subscribers, up over last year. And since August 1st of this year, the average viewing audience for the 25 school board meetings and work sessions, and that may have increased one or two since I wrote that, what we have live streamed is just under 440 people. So you add 440 people in this audience here, and that's your audience. So we continue utilizing translation services for our communications, including MCPS employees and a third-party vendor, primarily for Skylerts and event service announcements like family focus events. Continuing on with Strategy 5B, we continue to create and enhance our own newsroom with media releases, sharing our own stories with local media. So far this year, we have shared 57 media releases to more than 75 media outlets and internal audiences as well. And those are individual contacts at individual media outlets. We continue working with our family engagement and multicultural department, sharing messaging and details for monthly family-focused virtual and quarterly in-person sessions. I believe we had a message that went out last evening for next Wednesday evening's session. We are increasing direct feedback from our audiences via surveys. That's another example of two-way communications, and continue most recently with the future school calendars and input for our national accreditation process. Raise your hand if you receive those phone calls, that messaging. Okay, superb, wonderful. Our most visible tool for marketing, in my opinion, school marquees, are regularly updated with timely messages, including monthly suggestions from the Public Relations Office. And on a side note, if you ever see a school marquee out of date, just let me know. We'll see what we can do about that, because that's the one thing everybody looks at when they drive on campus. Finally, our snippet stories are brief 2 to 3 minute video segments created by our digital media production team, shared in weekly emails with you and posted to our YouTube page for public viewing along with other social media platforms. To date, our team has created 60 snippet stories this year, showcasing everything from career fairs and fire safety to Veterans Day, celebrity chefs, and the Black History Museum Gala. Our most popular snippet story, Dad's on Duty, with more than 1,000 views. So at this time, I will entertain any questions or comments you might have before I turn it back over to Ms. Debick.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. Dr. James.
I just wanted to give a quick shout out. Yesterday, we started our morning by like 7:30 at the Public Ed Foundation for the caravan, and the staff was there with their videos ready to start the day. And yesterday evening, I was at our literacy event at Barnes & Noble at 7 p.m., and our same staff was at that event working. And I just want to highlight what level of, and one of those employees is a very new employee to Marion County Public Schools, and she was at the entire caravan, and then was at Barnes & Noble recording our IB students from Vanguard and taking testimonials from them. So the effort does not go unnoticed. The commitment to sharing our message does not go unnoticed from your department. And I want to give the entire team a shout out, because sometimes those people behind the cameras get the least amount of public recognition, but they are super committed to the work we're doing. And I wanted to make sure I gave them a shout out.
Thank you for that, and I underscore that dedication.
Thank you, Dr. James.
Just continue to be grateful. I mean, the work, it was interesting yesterday whenever we were in a classroom and they said, so whenever you hear the phone calls that say, this is the district office of Marion County Public, everybody knows the voice of Mr. Kevin Christian. And so they may not realize that it's the voice of Mr. Kevin Christian. That's what's the interesting thing. I mean, Kevin and I have known each other a really long time, so I've always known that voice. But that's interesting, and for students to be able to put that together. Just continue to be super grateful that multiple touch points that we have expanded upon just in the last couple of years also, and your team just does great work. So thank you.
May I jump in, Madam Chair? Mr. Christian was also just recognized, as we were all there at the joint Superintendent and School Board Association. And I do not want to botch this, Mr. Christian. Can you name the award you were recognized by your peers across the state?
I'm very honored and humbled to have been named SunSPRA, which is the Sunshine State School Public Relations Association. It's the only organization in Florida for school PR professionals, as the SunSPRA inaugural School Communicator of the Year.
Woo-hoo. Woo. Very proud.
I have a question with that one. You can't write your own article. Who's going to write your article for you?
Actually, you can write your own article, but I did not. We do have a media release.
The team's working on that, Board Member Cummings. So it's kind of a surprise, but
I'm looking forward to seeing
not
it.
anymore.
I thought about it when we were there. I was like, who's going to write Kevin's article?
That was a surprise, Reverend.
We've already had
I guess that would not be considered ghostwriting, but it could be ghostwriting in a sense. But
There's several willing
We have something in
authors.
the works.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Congratulations.
Yes.
Ms. Devick.
Vice Chair.
I just want to say also thank you. Particularly, one of the things I enjoyed, especially when I was in the classroom, was the time that you took to put together our fast facts, because I didn't always have time to give 3 or 4 hours to watch an entire meeting or work session. And so I think that particularly is a valuable tool to our staff. And really, this list, I've just seen such growth and improvement in our communication as a district, and so I just want to say thank you again for the work that you put into keeping us all informed. So thank you, Kevin.
Thank you for your kind words.
Yes. Next level commitment, expertise, professionalism, compassion, that is just integral to everything that I see you doing, along with all of your colleagues. So appreciated. And just the speed of communication these days is almost mind-boggling. And so your ability to just get it out there fast is not only wonderful, but so important. And the YouTube has been a game changer. As I come around the community, I hear people say, all the time, oh, we saw you on TV, and they can watch it at their leisure anytime they want to. And so in terms of community outreach and connection and transparency, that's also next level. So like all of us sitting up here, I just continue to be so grateful for the talent that is housed in our district.
Thank you.
All right. She's back.
Continuing with strategy 5B, social media has become a key factor in our two-way communication with both our internal and external communication. As a district, we currently utilize 4 social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. And I want to share our updated numbers with you. For Facebook, we have 6,050 followers. For Instagram, we have 307. X is 4,244, and YouTube is 8,730. And then we also collaborate with the Public Ed Foundation on content, and they have 3,620 followers on their Facebook. As of this school year, our top post was made on August 16th and focused on the ribbon-cutting ceremony of the aviation program at Spar Elementary. This post had 152 reactions, 36 shares, and reached 17,000.9 audiences. I want to talk very briefly about the difference between reactions, shares, and audiences, which is reach. So for reactions, that's when you like something or do a smiley face or heart it on Facebook. For a share, that's when you share the information. And then those reach numbers is when someone shares something and it comes across someone else's social media platform. So we are keeping an eye on all of these demographics, and we certainly want to continue growing them. Our demographics also show us that our audience is largely women at 88.1%, and it also shows that our largest demographic is in the 35 to 44-year-old age range, followed by the 25 to 34-year-old age range on Facebook, meaning that we are successfully targeting our families on this platform. Our Facebook also has shown an average increase of 50 followers a month, and this is a current peak trend. Moving forward with strategy 5B, our team wants to continue to build our social media presence in the community. This initiative has been expanded at our schools, and our schools are now actively using Facebook since our presentation at the Leadership Summit over the summer. This same presentation also helped the team gain access to several unaccounted for Instagram accounts, which we are now able to log and archive social, so we were able to track and monitor that, as well as help us best set up each platform for success. In the future, we want to begin branching these concepts into our own network by telling the stories of our students and teachers and focusing on the hidden gems of our school district. Some examples of this are the Angel Tree, the Silver River Museum, and additional events. This includes not focusing just on video stories, but also utilizing Reels and trying to expand our reach there. We also want to use X to tell our hard news stories, so use that as a news platform. We know that it's still relevant, so we're making sure to use each platform in the best way possible. Okay, transitioning into strategy 5C. Strengthening internal communication and recognition.
Yep, Vice Chair had a quick question.
Yes.
Do we have, thank you for the presentation, and I just had a question. With our school sites, do we know how many schools have a Facebook page?
I can get that number for you. I do not know off the top of my head, but I can
Okay,
get
and
it for you.
I would also like to know, because I do feel it's important, and one way to expand that reach is, as a board member, I can share information through that. It also helps keep me informed because there's so many things going on at each school. Kevin can't possibly share everything to us. So I try to join the Facebook pages for our schools, but some of them are very tricky, or else I'm not talented enough to find the title. But when I go in to find a school, I have a difficult time. So I don't know if we have a list.
We do have a list. We can share
Perfect.
that.
If I could get a copy of that, that would be great.
Okay, perfect.
All of
We can do
us.
that.
I just would like to support that initiative as an easy way for us to share our narrative throughout the community.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Great, great. And anything else from board members at this point? Okay, moving right along.
Thank you. I will hand it back over to Mr. Christian to talk about strategy 5C.
Thank you.
Strategy 5C calls for strengthening internal communication and recognition of employee contributions. Now, our team has provided multiple interactive training sessions on crisis communications, and that was particularly during our summertime leadership summit. And given Tuesday's event at Horizon Academy at Marion Oaks, we have met and debriefed and are coming up with a plan to improve our crisis communications, which truly and always is an ongoing process. I don't know anybody that is 100% satisfied with their crisis communications. That's a great goal, and we will reach it closely, but if we're ever there, that means it's perfect. And given technology and time and modern society, there's always new tools and new things to work with. So that's an ongoing process. Dr. Gullett regularly visits school campuses, often recording video segments for her weekly wrap-up, now featuring students and staff members each Friday, and those are included in the weekly email that is shared with you on Friday afternoons. Regarding media recognition, once again, an MCPS teacher was chosen by a national media entity as their community-nominated Teacher of the Quarter, giving her a $5,000 check that she can spend as she wants and community exposure in the process. So we always welcome those kinds of partnerships and opportunities. Recognizing our employees during school board meetings not only makes those employees feel special, it increases the exposure of their achievements with our YouTube and cable channel audiences. And I know sometimes it's an effort in terms of taking up time for everyone to come down, but that's such an important moment for them to make the personal connection with you. So I applaud you for helping make that happen. Let's see. Pardon me. Recently, we recognized our principal and assistant principal of the year with surprise visits, much like yesterday, website and social media postings, media release, and video segments with both winners. And finally, we expanded our annual Veterans Day ceremony this year to include specific recognition for employees who are veterans, including one who, if you were there, you heard him share his experience with thousands of people in attendance at the community-wide event. So those are just some of what we're doing to increase and improve internal communications with our own employees. I will now turn it back to Ms. Devick.
Unless anyone on the board has anything for Mr. Christian, we'll continue to move along. We're good? Okay. Hi.
Hello. Continuing along with Strategy 5C, the Events and Happenings Calendar. The Events and Happenings Calendar is an internal Outlook calendar that we expanded this past year to help our team, for planning purposes, know what other events are occurring at the same time. So far, we've had 118 events on this calendar. The next key activity under Strategy 5C is our employee longevity recognition. For the second year in a row in the spring, we recognized our employees who have been with the district for over 40 years, and we are also working on a program that we hope to launch in the spring that is another initiative for employee recognition. The Superintendent's Weekly Wrap-Up, we have over 6,300 views between the 14 videos that have been published so far for Dr. Gullett's weekly Superintendent Wrap-Ups, which is a really good way that we are strengthening internal communication. That email gets sent out to all employees, and it's also shared on social media. Customer service training is another example of strengthening internal communication, and I am working with professional leadership and learning. So in the beginning of 2024, we hope to launch customer service training district-wide for all employees. And I did want to just make mention, because it goes along with Strategy 5C, the picture on this slide is Ms. Rodriguez at Ocala Springs Elementary. A parent wrote in to thank her for everything that she does, so we were able to go in. Dr. Gullett recognized her with a certificate of gratitude, and that was one way that we used the superintendent's weekly wrap-up to focus on our employee recognition. Any questions on this slide?
I just quickly want to say that I really appreciate getting the media mentions. It really helps me, keep up with what's being put out there, and I love the Superintendent Weekly Wrap-Up. Whenever I remember, I try to also reshare that on Facebook. I think it is a great way for the community to see week by week what we're up to. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, I will hand it back over to Ms. Magamal. Thank you.
Y'all gonna be dizzy in a little bit.
Thank you, Ms. Devick. Recognizing the amazing, passionate, and dedicated staff of Marion County Public Schools is a priority of our foundation and directly related to Strategy 5.C. Through our foundation's Golden Apple program, we celebrate outstanding educators in our district. As many of you alluded to in your earlier comments, yesterday we hosted the Golden Apple Caravan. It is as magical of a day as you can possibly have. I still start to choke up, to be honest, when reflecting on what was yesterday for our teachers and school-related employee of the year. So now that we've announced to our Golden Apple finalists, our Rookie of the Year and School-Related Employee of the Year, The Golden Apples become a class. So they are the class of the 2024 Golden Apples, who then become a part of an academy, which is an extension of our Golden Apple program, with the goal to work together to support and lift up their peer educators, and even partner with retired educators to continue to support current teachers in our schools. I do want to make a note here that we are one of the only education foundations and school districts that has a dedicated Rookie of the Year program. While the Teacher of the Year program competes at the state level for Florida Teacher of the Year, our Rookie of the Year program was established through the Education Foundation to ensure we were providing support and encouragement to our newest teachers in our district. So that is something to be proud of as Marion County Public Schools. Our Golden Apple Academy partners with our foundation and the district in multiple capacities. Examples would be breakfasts with our district leaders, especially our superintendent of schools, whom our academy members look forward to meeting with each semester. Volunteering at the MCPS recruitment fair to help share our message and promote new members of the district coming onto the team. Leading professional development sessions for our newest teachers as they go through their new beginnings orientation. Volunteering at the foundation for everything in any way possible. And serving on so many district committees to be leaders and to represent that teacher voice. The foundation also believes in supporting the non-instructional staff who make school possible every day, from our bus drivers safely transporting our students, paraprofessionals, clerical staff, and maintenance team. And during yesterday's caravan, you all saw our school-related employee of the year, Mr. Edward Lanza at Saddlewood Elementary, be surprised. We are excited to host our annual Golden Apple Gala, which will be February 3rd of 2024. We will celebrate all of our school-based teachers and rookies of the year. We will announce Marion County's Teacher of the Year. We will also give a moment to reflect and thank our Principal of the Year, Assistant Principal of the Year, and School-Related Employee of the Year for the contributions they make to our schools to make school possible. Our foundation's Teacher to Be scholarship program invests in current MCPS employees who have chosen to continue their education to work towards becoming a classroom teacher. This past year, we supported a record number of employees, 14 total, awarding up to $2,500 for each of those district team members. Just this past month, if you were following our social media Facebook page, you would have seen surprise announcements headed to 7 district employees, where we announced that they are part of our Teacher to Be program. We are going to support growing our own educators. Supporting employees at the start of their career in Marion County Public Schools is important, and so is applauding them at the end of their career. The foundation hosts the annual District Retiree Breakfast to celebrate those dedicated professionals who have contributed so many years of service to our district. And there are many other opportunities that come about throughout the course of the year where the foundation can have the opportunity to partner directly with the district, ultimately supporting and recognizing our employees. Those include examples such as Marion County Public Schools Intern Day, that will be next week, where our newest interns in the district will come to the foundation and also have a chance to learn about the resources we will provide them when they hopefully choose to keep Marion County Public Schools as their home. The Marion County Public Schools Staff Appreciation Cookout, Principal Appreciation Events, Holiday Breakfast, just a couple examples. Our Public Education Foundation of Marion County is proud to elevate student learning opportunities and reward and recognize the excellent staff of Marion County Public Schools. Thank you for the opportunity to do so. And now, our Superintendent of Schools.
Thank you, Ms. Magamal.
Thank you, team. Ms. Magmal didn't get to thank you again publicly today, and you all will get to see our weekly video this week, but I had a chance to thank Ms. Magamal, an interviewer, yesterday, right after we finished. We're still at Forest, but thank you for all of the work yesterday and all that you do. Thanks to the whole team. So, Board, we're happy to answer any additional questions you have, but you can see there's a lot of work underway and a lot of work yet to come. We're all excited about that.
Absolutely. Board?
Thank you for the presentation.
Just
Yes.
Continued gratitude.
You bet, you bet. I could only think of one thing, and I hope I got this right. I believe our rookie teacher of the year this year was a Teacher to Be scholar. Do I have that right?
You have that correct, Chair Thrower. We have our Rookie of the Year for Marion County Public Schools, became a teacher through our Teacher to Be scholarship program. We also have one of our Golden Apple finalists, who is a Take Stock in Children graduate from our program. She graduated from North Marion High School, is now teaching at North Marion High School, and she became a mentor for Take Stock in Children so she can continue passing on. I received an email from her this morning discussing how appreciative she is to our school district and the foundation for helping be a part of the path to get her to where she is today. So, so many of those full circle moments that Dr. Campbell mentioned.
Absolutely, that is so awesome, and I remember, Dr. James, you mentioning that as well about the North Marion connection, and it just is so important to share those stories, with the community. Having started as a classroom paraprofessional myself, it has just blossomed into one of the most satisfying careers that I could ever imagine, and so there's so much opportunity in our district, and it's great to be able to hear from all of you and get that out there as much as we possibly can. So thank you again. So I think that concludes our Achieve Goal 5 Community Engagement and Communication presentation. Is there any public comment on this agenda topic? Okay, seeing none. Board, before we move into our final topic, which is the draft instructional calendars for 2024, 2025, and 2025, 2026. I'd like to go ahead and just take a brief break. It's 10:02 a.m. We'll break for about 7 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's freezing.
It is freezing.
Reconvening at 10:10 a.m., we'll move on to our final topic of today's work session, which is the draft instructional calendars for 2024, 2025, and 2025, 2026. Dr. Gullett.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board. So you will see, the first thing you will notice is that we are proposing 2 calendars, 2 years. We talked about doing this, and I think it will be very helpful to our community to have 2. And I'm going to bring forward Mr. Chad Frazier, who's going to kick this off, and with Ms. Talbert Irving. And they've had quite a bit of work behind this, and we appreciate the commitment to bringing forward these drafts and looking forward to the conversation. Oh, Ms. Talbert Irving will begin, excuse me. Thank you.
Dr. Gullett. Good morning, Ms. Talbert Irving.
Good morning, Chair Thrower, Vice Chair Conrad, board members, and Superintendent Gullett. Mr. Frazier will share valuable insight and information on the instructional calendar process and committee results this morning. We thank you for your time, and we look forward to your feedback. And now here's Mr. Frazier.
Thank you. Hey, Mr. Frazier.
Good morning, Chair Thrower, Vice Chair Conrad, board members, Dr. Gullett. This presentation is an overview of the calendar committee process, and included in the board packet, you will find draft A and B versions for 24-25 and 2025-2026 years in a color-coded calendar format, text versions of each draft calendar for anyone that may have visual impairments, and community survey results with comments, as well as a word cloud from the comments. So this was the agenda that drove the work of the 3 calendar committee meetings that occurred on Thursday, November the 2nd, Tuesday, November the 7th, and Monday, November the 13th, approximately from 5 until 7 p.m. The calendar committee had 32 representatives that included multiple teachers, school secretaries, 2 principals from elementary, 2 from middle, 2 from high, parents, students, members of our faith community, community partners, and representatives from athletics, career and technical education, exceptional education, human resources, payroll, transportation, state reporting, and a school board representative. The calendar parameters and considerations were reviewed with the committee, which included the state requirement of 180 school days in the school year that students are not allowed to begin before August 10th per Florida Statute 1001.42. We prefer to have 5 days prior to the beginning of the school year for pre-planning and 1 day immediately following the last student day for post-planning. Board policy also requires 196 days of employment for teachers in Policy 8210. Other considerations include that Martin Luther King Jr. Day in January is a non-paid, non-work day and a student holiday. So a correction from the slide in front of you is that President's Day in February is actually a paid non-work day and a student holiday. Important dates where students and staff must be in attendance are FTE weeks, which include October 7th through the 11th and February 3rd through the 7th in 2024 and 2025, and October 6th through the 10th and February 2nd through the 6th in 25-26. The collective bargaining agreement between Marion Education Association and the School Board of Marion County in Section 10.05 states that these are the paid holidays for Marion County Public Schools, which are non-attendance days for staff and students. They include Labor Day, Thanksgiving Day, the day after Thanksgiving, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, and President's Day. Board Policy 8210 also requires that the school year is divided into 2 semesters approximately equal in length. The collective bargaining agreement between Marion Education Association and the School Board of Marion County in Section 6.34 states that we will provide a teacher workday at the end of each 9-week grading period in a school year. There are 4 marking periods, and we prefer the end of the 2nd at winter break and the end of the 3rd at spring break. More calendar considerations include a preference for 2 full weeks for winter break, and traditionally, this has included the entire week of Thanksgiving. Spring break is preferred to fall between the third and the fourth marking periods and be one full week. I also want to direct your attention to the midterm break on Friday, April the 18th of 2025 and Friday, April the 3rd of 2026, which is in direct response to the community's request. The draft versions identify prioritized bad weather days that do not include any paid holidays or winter break. The days must be non-work, non-paid days for employees and should be as close to the weather event as possible. Historically, most tropical storms or hurricanes occur in August or September. If available, early dismissal days would be utilized to satisfy bad weather days first. The first 2 days of Thanksgiving break would be next, and the midterm break would be utilized as well. The calendar committee was broken into 4 smaller groups and provided a folder that included 3 sample calendars for 24-25 and 25-26 that met all of the parameters and considerations. They were also provided a blank calendar for each school year in case they wanted to build it from scratch or make significant changes. They also received a list of religious holidays, a parameter cheat sheet, and a calendar checklist to make sure that if they decided to build one from scratch, that it met all of our parameters and considerations. They were then asked to review and discuss the sample calendars, beginning with 24-25, and to choose a first and second choice from those samples, or they could take the blank calendar and create their own option that met all of the parameters and considerations. We would repeat that process for 25-26 if time permitted, and then they would choose a reporter from each group to share what their feedback was on the individual calendars. The committee came to a consensus to recommend an A and B version for board consideration for 24-25 and 25-26. This is the community survey results for the draft A and B versions for 24-25. There was a total of 1,372 responses. You will notice that if you add the response ratios up, it equals 99% and not 100%. And that is because this shows in a whole number format. But the actual percentages reported were 79.58% for draft A and 20.42% for draft B. As I reviewed the comments, having Veterans Day off was stated. However, in our conversations with the calendar committee and our school principals, they came to the consensus that they prefer to have our students in school for Veterans Day to provide students with education about veterans and having ceremonies to celebrate our veterans. This is the community survey results for draft A and B versions for 25-26. There was a total of 1,364 responses. You will notice that if you add the response ratios up, it equals 99% and not 100%. And that is because this shows in a whole number format, once again. But the actual percentages reported were 78.51% for draft A and 21.49% for draft B. You will also notice that we have 2-hour early release days for the months of August, September, October, January, February, and March. I had the opportunity to survey our principals, and of the 38 responses received, 32 of them request that we continue these days for professional development. The committee also recommends an in-service day in January that is school-based to provide training to new hires and a reset to start the third 9 weeks. That is primarily because when we look at the number of teachers without education degrees, there are 1,763 teachers in Marion County without education degrees. There are also 493 teachers that are out of field. If the board is able to come to consensus today, the selected calendars would be added to the board agenda for January 9th, 2024. And I'll turn it back over to Dr. Gullett for her comments.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Board, we're looking forward to hearing your questions. Thank you. And thank you to the team and the committee. I know that was a very robust process. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett. And as the board member that has joined this committee I think since I started on the school board, I requested the opportunity. And it certainly has been a wonderful experience. I will say that coming up with a good functional calendar that honors the needs of the school district, the community at large, the priorities, and the passions, along with meeting all of the statutory requirements, truly takes a lot of negotiation and conversation, and also commitment to getting it as right as we possibly can. So I just wanted to thank everyone that participated. It was an exhaustive list of folks from so many areas, because our instructional calendar really does touch everyone and out into the community. So thank you. I appreciate the opportunity of being able to serve on this committee again. With that, open it up to the board. Dr. James.
I would just like, Mr. Frazier, I know one of the things that came up was, I'm reflecting back to our lengthy conversation last year, and something about pay at the beginning of the school year, and if you could just touch on what that looks like with these calendars that are being presented to us and how it impacts our employees.
Yes, I will be happy to. So I actually was communicating with payroll directly to try to determine exactly how we were going to go about doing that. So we are looking through, and basically, if you'll give me just a moment. So next school year, the MEA, the instructional staff members, will receive their first checks on 8/16/2024. This is 1 week later than usual due to the date that students can start per Florida statute, resulting in a later start date for instructional staff. Mr. Avery, our MEA person, was on the calendar committee, and Finance was able to speak directly to him to discuss that at our second meeting that occurred. So after communicating with Mr. Carson as well, one of the best ways that we're going to be able to get that message out is through ISCAPS. And we would also be discussing that within an executive cabinet to come to a final decision about how that's going to get communicated out. But that's what's happening with that.
And it would only impact next year, the 25-26 school year would then be back to normal?
Correct. My understanding from Finance and having that conversation is this happens about once every 10 years. And so therefore, we're trying to communicate this information out as early as possible so that people can prepare appropriately.
Okay. And these, I didn't see Good Friday mentioned, but Good Friday is now being recognized in the holiday, in the calendars?
So that is actually designated in our calendar as a midterm break. That is where you will notice that we have that on
Friday, April 18th.
Friday, April 18th for 24-25, and then for 25-26, it is April the 3rd.
Okay, but the holiday moves, it's not a fixed holiday, and so obviously it's not very midterm for the 25-26 school year, but we're just acknowledging that's what we're going to call it?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a reason we're not calling it Good Friday?
That would be a board decision at this point. As far as the calendar committee recommendations, we recommended that it be termed as a midterm break to respect all religious holidays.
That is correct, and that is my advice as well.
Okay.
I think the line of thinking was that we have Christmas break termed as winter break and have had for a very long time.
That's what I was just trying to run through. Every other break and holiday we have is not attached to a religion, but rather a season.
Right.
Right.
And we have
Spring break.
civic holidays, Memorial, Veterans, Labor, MLK Day, President's Day, things like that. They're civic holidays. As to religious holidays, it becomes something where we would have to demonstrate a specific secular purpose in addition to a religious purpose, or we can simply choose to opt for a day off at any time at our discretion.
Okay, I'm on board with it. I just wanted to get clarification on the naming is all. That's fine. Okay, I think, if overwhelmingly the survey results show option A for both, then I think that I'm good to go with that, personally.
Thank you, Dr. James. Board Member Campbell?
Sure, I get to go.
your hand.
No, I just was kind of, flailing. So a couple of my thoughts on this. I want to start with, do we happen to have a response breakdown by participant type? So I know we don't have that in the slides, but my question is, how many teachers did we have respond versus community and/or parents? I'm interested in that breakdown. And part of the reason for that is specifically to look at the comments by the participant type. I see, I'm going to go with A also because that's overwhelming what is here in this survey results. So let's just start with the easy thing first. But in looking at the comments, there continue to be multiple comments about early release days, and I know that is a topic of, even in a group of other school board members from around the state that I'm in, it's a topic happening right now where other school boards are talking about the value and or need for early release and what that looks like. And we have been able to identify just through our attendance reports that student attendance is suffering on early release days. It's not in the 70s, but it is suffering. It's something I track every time that we have that, an early release day. However, I also know that many administrators and educators value the early release. And so, not trying to upset the apple cart, I'm just curious by participant type, if we also have teachers weighing in that early release days are valuable to them and or not. And so that's just kind of a blanket question, I guess.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Our survey did not actually require the participants to identify which group they were with. However, we did go through every comment that was left to be able to try to determine, because you could tell from some of the comments what group they were identifying with. And so from the results that we had approximately 129 entries that we could identify as employees. So 30% of those comments were employees. Of the community, we could identify 6%. And granted, this is an approximate number because we're just going through the comments individually one by one. We had about 216 that we could not identify as any group that were there. And we had about 63 entries, or 14%, that we could readily identify as parents as well, based upon their comments. And so as far as attendance for the early release days, I know that you said you've been tracking this, but I just want to make sure this is publicly out there as well. For our first early release day, we were at 91.79%. As far as attendance goes, for the 27th of September, it was 89.35. For a most recent in October, we were 88.53. And so I do have other year data whenever we did have that as well, but it's pretty standard in regards to looking at between the 88 to 90% attendance range for our students. And I know, and just like I was saying earlier, our principals do highly value that time that is school-based. That way they can respond to what they're seeing based upon their classroom walkthroughs, and also providing, whether it's pedagogy or whether they're really looking to classroom management or routines. They really value that time. I think it's been very successful this school year in providing that professional development.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier, for the global district-wide percentages. I think perhaps I'm looking school by school, and some specific schools in some specific pockets tend to struggle with those days more than others. So I'll just leave that as a blanket statement on that. And the continuation of the conversation will be ongoing, but if we put them in for 2 years, then it is what it is, and we're going to hopefully make sure that we provide valuable instruction and opportunities for students on those days that encourage them to be in attendance and encourage their families to have them in attendance. I also wanted to speak to Veterans Day because I did see that comment multiple times, as you noted. My comment is going to come from the parent perspective. I understand that veterans groups also have weighed in on this and believe students need to be in school. I'm going to, too, agree that students should be in school. My comment, though, goes to the academic team and possibly even the communications and community engagement team. We have to ensure that students are at least talking and/or learning about Veterans Day in every single classroom at least one time in their school day. That is not currently happening. That is not currently happening. So the whole reason we have students in school for Veterans Day is so they're talking and/or learning about veterans and/or the military and/or something, and that is not currently happening. So whatever we need to do over the course of the next 11 months, whether it's something that we put on the morning show in every single school, whether it's, where you want to place it is not my purview. But we have to, and I cannot have all 3 of my children come home on a Veterans Day and say they did not talk about it at all. And so I have three children, so I'm gauging that across the board. So I'm only one family here, but I think that that's where these comments come from, where we have people saying, no, they don't need to be in school. Well, they absolutely do need to be in school, and they need to be learning about what it means and the sacrifices that have been made by those. So I think that's going to be all I have to say about the calendar. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you, Dr. Campbell. We did have some very strong conversations in the calendar committee about Marion County Public Schools as a whole making a commitment to every school doing something surrounding, supporting, and celebrating all of our veterans and the sacrifices that they have made for this great country.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Dr. Gullett?
If I may, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Thank you, Board Member Campbell, for bringing this up. I'd like to add and reiterate a portion of what Mr. Frazier shared earlier. I've met with all the veteran groups, continue to meet regularly with them, and especially the Veterans Council. What I can tell you is this, they're split. They're actually very split on this. I've asked them. I started this process, I think, Board, you knew this, last year, of saying, instead of just assuming that what's been told to me is true, let me ask them myself. And I've told every one of them I've met with, if you all are split on this, and they said, yes, we agree, we're split. So their opinion about whether we're in school or not is pretty evenly split. But what we did have really great conversation about and continue to is putting action behind our commitment to recognizing our amazing veterans. Especially with the Veterans Council, we're meeting regularly with them, with my whole team, and working on what I share of Veterans Day is critically important, but how do we further develop our partnership with the amazing veterans in our community? It's a gift for them to share their service and their experience with our students, and a lot of our students don't have family members that served in the military, and we have an opportunity that's very unique to Marion County to allow our students to understand what they've learned and their service to our country and why we have the freedom we do. So I just wanted to share that with the board because we've had very specific actionable steps that we are committed to doing. Not just Veterans Day, but other ways that we're doing that and partnering with them. So very committed to doing that, very important to me as the superintendent. And so, but I did want to just clarify, and they know that they're probably going to share this, that they're pretty split on it, but it's just a matter of what we do is important, how we share with our students. And if we're in school, then we absolutely need to improve what we do during that day in the classroom. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett, and I will say that there are schools that celebrate Veterans Day that whole week. They have different activities through the week, and each day is a different veterans-based activity, and then others not so much. Dr. Campbell, you had something further on this?
Yes, no, I did just want to say thank you for that feedback on that, Dr. Gullett. I appreciate that, and it is good to get the real information out. I know we always had the rumor mill about what the veterans groups always said, and to hear that it is a split audience and that their perspectives aren't all unified is helpful actually for the conversation, just as any one of us may not have an agreeable, we're not all going to agree on everything, and so that's helpful to hear and that perspective, so thank you for weighing in. I did have one more thing that I forgot along the way. I thank you to Dr. James for bringing up the question about Good Friday. I understand the justification for needing to have it titled something from a secular perspective while we are calling everything else from winter break to anything else, that my request would be, and it is identified here, obviously, my request would be that we just continue to, as a calendar committee moving forward, that we try the best we can to ensure that a holiday for students being out of school does follow that calendar whenever that Good Friday day lands in the calendar, that we ensure that it is an observed holiday, regardless of whether we call it that or not. That would be my request. Obviously, these two calendars do align with that commitment, but I personally believe that it does need to be an observed day, that students should have the opportunity, students and families should have the opportunity to not be in school on those days. And understanding the justification, though, as to why we need to call it a spring whatever, or a Friday off, whatever we're calling it. But my request moving forward, as the calendar committee continues to meet for the 25, 20, or whatever, 26, 27, all these years way down the line, that that continue to be observed that way.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Mr. Frazier, can you just speak quickly to the broad consensus that we heard and was shared regarding this holiday? I know personally that it's personally important to me, and it also seemed to be very personally important to a lot of people I heard from.
Yes, ma'am. It was of the broad consensus was that this would be something that we considered every calendar committee that we held from this point forward, based upon community feedback. We did have some varying perspectives that were in the room as well that weighed in, because we did have some members of our Jewish community that were a part of our calendar committee as well, that felt very strongly that we don't identify that day as particular, as to honor Passover the same way that we would just continue to identify that as a holiday.
May I speak to that?
Thank you. Attorney
Okay.
Powers.
One of the reasons that I wanted to interject some things here is I've read a 224-page New York University Law Review article regarding this exact topic. I reviewed also some professional publications, including one which had 29 different case law citations.
Can you
It's very
speak up just
difficult.
a little bit?
I've also reviewed a research article, professional research article prepared for lawyers, which has 29 different case law citations. There are multiple states that have engaged in all kinds of discussion and litigation regarding this issue. The frank and straightforward thing is that there are 365 days in the year. Guess how many are holidays according to some religion? 365. And so, if we want to recognize particular holidays as particular holidays, we have the ability as a school district to, for a secular reason, allow vacation, we already have a policy that specifically speaks to allowing religious exemptions for anyone who chooses to take a holiday that is important to them off. But if we want to recognize it as a day off for an entire district, there are a lot of potential complications. Now, what I don't want to have us do is be in a position where we're saying we're going to pretend and not call it one thing, but we're actually still going to treat it that way, because that will expose us to problems. However, what we can do is recognize the fact that there are many secular purposes. The basic case law indicates that there needs to be a secular purpose for any religious holiday which we choose to celebrate. As a public school, we can celebrate civic holidays ad nauseum. Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Labor Day, MLK, President's Day, anything that's a civic holiday. As a religious holiday, it does require that we have some respect toward whether there's also a secular purpose. And is there a secular purpose here? I will submit a few, and I will ask that board members, any one of these may be important to you, or your own religious reason may be important to you. But those are items which collectively, as a board, your vote doesn't define which of those items is important to you. It just identifies that you recognize that you want that to be a continuing and ongoing holiday that we have off. One of those is the fact that there's traffic and disruption. Most people, we are the largest employer in Marion County. Most other employers, many other employers, it is a state holiday. That factors in differently because of the fact that we're a public school than it would if we were a bank, or if we were even a state DMV office or something like that, because of the idea of whether or not it's establishing religion. We don't have to do that. What we can do is we can say that we're going to be respectful, that we're going to respect the fact that there's a 3-day weekend that is valuable and important, that many families, in fact, people who are civic employees, have that day off and would appreciate the time to spend with their students as well. Likewise, many individuals who would otherwise be working when their students who may be in a religious school have off would like to spend that time together as a family holiday. There are just a huge number of reasons under which we could justify allowing Good Friday off as a secular holiday as well. The important purpose is we have to make sure and ensure that our goal is perceived correctly, and that is this a time for us to honor family interaction, to use our public school position to allow for the interactions that we have there, to also recognize the fact that there is very, very large both employee and student absenteeism on those days historically, because people like to take it off within our community. Those are factors which are all secular factors. If we don't have enough bus drivers who are willing to work, guess what happens? We can't get the buses where they need to be. If we don't have enough teachers in a classroom, we don't have the instruction. If we don't have enough students in the classroom, the instruction's wasted. So those are all very good and valid secular reasons for us to proceed forward with that. So our goal, honestly, should always be to honor time for those secular reasons. And our goal is not to sort of win a culture war, plant a flag, or use the school board as a liable party for any of those things. That's not what we're trying to do, and I don't think that needs to be the necessity of what we're doing here. But we can recognize that just as winter break and spring break are well established for a number of reasons as having both religious and secular purposes, it's not that we have to ignore the religious purpose. It's that we also do have to state and be able to state the secular purpose. With certain specific religious holidays for certain specific religions, those become more difficult. Being able to celebrate a particular date for a particular reason, as opposed to a block of time, sometimes it requires a little more justification. But I think historically within our community, we've been able to establish that. That's why schools still allow for winter break and spring break around the times of Easter and Christmas. Fortunately, guess what? Most religions have also done that through the years as well. There's a very good reason why Christmas is celebrated in December, as opposed to most likely what was Jesus' birthday, which was in April. And that's because it also coordinated with times of holiday events for other views and beliefs as well. And so my goal would be just to ask the board to please, you certainly can have your religious explanations for why you would wish to have that. However, we also each individually recognize there are plenty of secular reasons why we would also wish to continue to honor that holiday on the day it's presented. And that is all that anyone can ask of us, and I believe that will absolutely keep us on the side of right. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Powers. Dr. Gullett, I also think that it's important to touch on while we're having this conversation that there was a pretty important update in 2020 on religious expression in our public schools, and that's part of training that is available on in our Canvas. I'm trying to think of the correct platform. So if there's anything you want to share on that, because there's this conversation, it's important to have because faith is important to so many of us, and to have the opportunity to talk about it a little bit at this time is important to me. That faith is alive and well and respected in our public schools, and I think that a lot of folks may be surprised at how much it is. So just wanted to take a moment to say that. Okay, Board Member Cummings?
Well, I concur with Attorney Powers because as a faith leader, I have my personal preferences. I celebrate certain holidays, but as a school board member, I have to take in consideration every student in this district and every staff member in this district, and to err on the side of not alienating anyone or not offending anybody in such a way that it creates additional drama. I'm fine with how it's labeled right now. When I was a kid, yes, it was called Good Friday. It was called Good Friday break. The world has changed since I was a kid. And so we need to take into consideration everyone in this decision. So I'm hoping that we'll stay where we are. I think the committee took the time and thoughtfulness to think this whole process out. I don't think it was a knee-jerk reaction on why they came up with that recommendation. And if we authorize them to bring back a report or bring back a recommendation, I think we need to honor that committee by going with their recommendation. So.
Thank you, Board Member Cummings. It's a very good day to have off.
Yes.
Exactly.
Vice Chair.
Good morning, Mr. Frazier. Thank you for the presentation. I think that it wards off a lot of misinformation and helps explain why decisions are made, which we struggle with in the community or with the parents' page on Facebook. So I just would like to recommend as we move forward, I am in support of Calendar A. I will say, as a former elementary school teacher, my heart does ache for that first full week because the first week in elementary school is grueling. And so I really did enjoy the days when we started on a Wednesday. We had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just to get, and I saw there was a lot of discussion in the comments about that, and I'm guessing that really is kind of specific to elementary school, getting those kids back up and running. So that being said, I am in support of Calendar A. I did just want to make a suggestion, and we were talking about communication earlier this morning. I just think it would be great if when we send an approved calendar out, if this PowerPoint goes with it, whether it's to our staff, whether it goes on our Facebook page, just for clarifying purposes, because I think even though we share the information, the schools share the information, there's so many people that don't understand how many strings are attached to what we're able to do. And so that was just a suggestion I had to help maybe clarify, because almost every comment I read through, I just thought, okay, they don't understand. They don't understand we have to do this, or they don't understand that we have to do this. Like part of the weather makeup days, my understanding is we want those to be before testing also, because there were several comments about, well, just put them at the end of the year. Well, no, there's a reason why we don't do that. And so I want to thank you for the time that you put into this presentation, and hopefully it'll be available to the community to access easily. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Is that something we can do? Dr.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, absolutely. I was just nodding with the Vice Chair Conrad. Yes, absolutely think we can anchor that. This is public anyway, but we'll make sure to communicate that additional information with it.
Yes, I think that's an absolutely wonderful suggestion, and when we put the survey out, a lot of the parameters and requirements were shared as well for that reason. So as we continue to evolve in this process, we're getting smarter about the nuances and making sure that the information is presented so that people understand when they make their choice. Go ahead.
And I would have a question because it may trigger some obligations on me as well. This is as the instructional calendar. So we have a fixed number of days that we have for paid time off holidays. And also then we also have a large group of non-instructional employees. So I'm curious as to how this interacts with, this holiday would be a students are off school holiday, which obviously then also means that well, I shouldn't say obviously, but would mean that teachers are off that holiday. Is this proposed to be a paid holiday? If so, does it replace any one of the paid holidays which are already on the instructional calendar? And then finally, is there any accommodation made for similar reasons for non-instructional employees? Or is this only those who are represented who are receiving this sort of benefit? So has that been discussed yet, or is that something we need to meet about?
Are you still referencing the midterm break?
Yes.
Okay, so that midterm break would be a non-paid, non-work day for all employees, and it would be non-student attendance day as well.
Okay, and that would be applied for both instructional and non-instructional employees. It'd be non-paid and non-work.
Correct.
Okay, well then, that doesn't trigger any obligations for me, so that's great. Thank you.
Everybody's off.
Thanks.
Madam Chair, in my comments, I did not state which calendar I was in
What?
favor of. In my comments, I did not state which calendar I was in favor of, but I'm in favor of calendar A as well.
Thank you. Hey, any further comments from the board?
Again, I just want to thank the committee, because I was a new board member when we tackled this last year. It was a very long process, and so it left room for growth and improvement, and it's gone. We haven't voted yet, but it's gone very well, and so thank you to the team that met many times and had many challenges to meet for helping us move forward quickly. So thank you.
Thank you. We had quite a bit less controversial options this year. If you remember last year, some of one of the major proposals was having the Friday, I think it was a shortened day, and I don't want to say Friday, there was several proposed days. So the community wasn't ready for that, so we didn't entertain that this year. Mr. Frazier, anything else from you?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. It does appear that we have consensus then on draft A. Thank you again to everyone on the calendar committee and for your leadership of this committee, Mr. Frazier. It's well appreciated.
Thank you.
Mr. Frazier, I would just ask that you not go over to Mr. Ayers' office and dance around in front of him saying, I got A and you took to get to G, okay? Because otherwise he's going to be very upset.
I will not do that. We will look to get this added onto the January 9th board for a vote to approve draft A for 2024-25 and 25-26. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Is there any public comment? Mr. Fiorello, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Perhaps I should have had Kevin, the new communicator of the award that he received, present my case as opposed to me. Good Friday's off the slate. No one's going to know that day is off for Good Friday, period. And what bothered me was, and volunteers are very important to everything that y'all do. Non-paid volunteers, that's what that basically means. And I made it very clear when I voted that day that I was voting for Plan A, and I wanted it to stay just as it said, Good Friday. And it was neat. The legend was in gold or brown, and I say I'm not sure whether the legend was in gold or brown because we had to turn in our papers, which made no sense to me whatsoever on what we were working on, and I turned mine in. Go to the next meeting, and I see it's marked off, and it's spring break. If any of you recall when you were in the old building on 3rd Street, there's a picture on the wall in there. I don't know if any of you remember seeing it. It said, "In God We Trust." Think about that. In God We Trust. It's right there in that building. That's the way we've been from day one in America when it comes to something like this. I'm disappointed, to say the least, but you've done what you're going to do, and no one's going to know about Good Friday. And that's a shame of this whole thing. No one's going to know. And I don't want to be adversarial, especially on something like this. I don't want to act like I'm humble either, but I'm polite. Yes, I'm very disappointed, extremely disappointed in the action that's taken place here. Where there's a will, there's a way to make it happen. And I'm going to leave that in your hands. But Think about that. In God we trust in our building. What do you celebrate Christmas for? Not for Christmas trees, that's for darn sure. But the bottom line is you've made your decision. I do not want to sound adversarial at all on something of this magnitude. No, that's something, you've got to live with it. And hopefully, he's not upset with me. I did my best to communicate it. And all I do is say thank you, and I appreciate what y'all do for our community. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fiorello, and thank you very much for participating on the calendar committee. It was your passion for this topic that generated the conversation and really helped us try to come to a position that met all of the, as you have learned, multitude of requirements that we are under. So your work did not, and your passion did not go unnoticed and unrecognized, and I just want to personally say thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
And I too, Chair, I too want to thank Mr. Fiorello because he did bring us to the forefront about that specific day and
Making sure that it
making sure that it was taken into consideration for the calendar. I understand it doesn't go all the way to where you want it to be, but I think that the day still is going to be honored by many as Good Friday. Myself personally, whether it says it on the paper or not, matter of fact, whether we say prayer or a moment of silence, we know what it is. And so we have to still honor you for coming forth and bringing that. And your time was valuable and your input was valuable, so thank you for that.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Member Cummings.
Thank you, Chair. I too want to say thank you to Mr. Fiorello for the lengthy conversations that we've had, both personally as well as here in the boardroom about this topic. Thank you for bringing it to the forefront. I understand that the outcome wasn't necessarily what you had hoped for it to be, and I would like to say it gives ample opportunity for the faith-based community to rally around this topic, and it gives ample opportunity for the faith-based community then to make it what you want it to be and to provide opportunities, perhaps even unified opportunities across denominations, to provide opportunities for families and students to participate in wherever and however that might look. And that will be up to communications and things on the faith-based community's perspective. But I think now that the school board is moving forward with at least having that day off from school, if they had been in school, we would not have been talking about Good Friday either. So regardless of whether it's on the calendar listed as Good Friday or whether it's listed just as a day off, now hand it off to the faith-based community, say, we now have given this day off. Similarly to the way we're talking about Veterans Day, we're having the day in. So we're going to take that upon ourselves to educate students about Veterans Day. So now that we're having a day off, let's leave it to the community and the faith-based community to rally together to ensure that the community does understand what that day means.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Is there anything else from the board? Okay, and I'll just wrap it up by again reiterating that in 2020, a lot of work was put in at the national level regarding religious expression in our public schools. So anyone can just use the search engine of their choice to look up religious expression in our public schools, and I think that you will find some encouraging good news. So again, thank you everyone for your work.
I do appreciate it. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. It's a first step, and that's the way I'm looking at this. And I got to share this with you. I remember the first time we met Nancy. Whether y'all know it or not, but three of you up there I interviewed when you were candidates, and I saw something special in all three of you. And Nancy, you were a firecracker from the get-go, and that's a compliment. That's a compliment. And you've sided with me on my religious beliefs, and that means a lot to me. It really does. And Mr. Conrad and Allison, I remember you two were in the same race. And I showed you, hopefully, respect when I interviewed both of you. Didn't show any bias. And this is the only one I want to show bias to, which is this. And you know my passion. And hopefully we make something good come from it. But it's neat seeing the three of you up there now. It really is. And thank you all for your input. And Counselor, thank you for reading those pages. I'm sure it was not fun reading all that. No. But thank you all for what you've done. It's a first step, and that's the way I look at it.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you all. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay. And thank you, everyone, for your continued commitment to the instructional calendar and making sure that it is the best calendar that we can possibly make it be. So we will now move on to board comments and concerns. And at this point, I would like to recognize our, I'd like to recognize our esteemed attorney, Jeremy Powers. I believe you have a request for us, sir.
Actually, the request has been withdrawn.
Pardon?
The request has been withdrawn. We had a request for a session regarding Attorney Green.
Yes.
That request has been withdrawn.
Oh, it's been withdrawn? Yes. Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else from legal?
No, thank you. Nothing today.
All right, very good. Ms. Martinez, anything from your seat?
No, ma'am.
Thank you for all you do. Dr. Gullett?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I would like to make a couple comments. Thank you for today. But I want to comment on our week, our last few days, the events that happened at Horizon Academy at Marion Oaks. I want to start by thanking Ms. Connor and her team, the central office team, everybody, the staff did an amazing job. I also want to thank law enforcement who showed up in force. One of the impressions, I'm going to use the word impression, I had in visiting Parkland, as you all know recently, was the need to make sure that everyone shows up and takes any type of threat deemed serious or otherwise seriously for the safety of our students and our staff and our community. And there was an immediate response. I heard from a parent directly that night at one of my town hall meetings about her personally with a child at that school and said, all I know is I'm new to Marion County and everyone showed up and took this seriously. And that meant a lot to me. We have been debriefing, we've been doing after action reviews, and as was stated earlier, what went well, ways that we can improve, and I think that's important in any situation. But I am incredibly grateful for the response from this whole community to this. There were things that I knew behind the scenes as the superintendent working with Mr. McFadden very closely about this, but I want to be really clear about this. I will not tolerate any type of student comments, threats that are made that cause such major disruption to our schools. That will be dealt with swiftly. Law enforcement has already dealt with that swiftly, and I'm very grateful. This is a heavy topic, but I'm very grateful. But I want to make a statement as a superintendent, this will not be tolerated. This was a massive disruption and could have been avoided. And now the student's life will be changed, and as it should be. So that will not be acceptable by any student. I'm going to shift because in the last couple days, we've had people experiencing tragedy in Texas and at UNLV yesterday, and I'm carrying my cup today. These types of behaviors have to stop. I was an adjunct professor at UNLV. My son is a student at medical school there. And we just cannot accept this type of behavior from our students, and we won't. So that communication is going out, has already gone out to our parents. We need to engage with our families to help them understand that every type of situation will be dealt with swiftly. And we have the right for our students and our staff to be, and our visitors and our community to be safe in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett, for your heartfelt response. All right, Dr. Campbell.
Thank you. Just processing for a moment because that's a very heavy topic. Okay, so I'm going to go with some kudos. Let's do that. Let's switch gears just a bit. Kudos to Ms. Cooper, Ms. Morant, and the whole recruitment and HR team for the amazing Winter Career Fair event. They ran out of packets in the first about 15 minutes, I think. It's interesting the number of people that had registered versus the number of people who came. And it was amazing. And I believe that we were able to make some very successful interviews and prospects for joining the Marion County Public Schools team. So just kudos to that team and all that they did. Also saying again, thank you to the calendar committee. This has been a much less eventful process, which is a positive thing. I can only imagine how it felt being a brand new board member in this being exactly what your opening was, Dr. James and Ms. Conrad, to what that looked like. And it was even a new experience for board members who'd been here for a little bit, because it was eventful previously. But we are potentially going to approve 2 school calendars and not have to have this conversation again for a little bit. So that's spectacular. Also wanted to just give a shout out to the Florida School Board Association for an amazing conference, FADS and FSBA. It was a great time being away, and having professional development as a school board member is valuable and imperative for me and for us to be able to do the job that we do with the excellence that we do it. A couple of the highlights, the last session actually about sunshine law and ethics, I thought was incredibly valuable, and that was in my survey. I recommended that be a regular topic because I think it was very well received. Another session that I found to be very valuable was titled Embracing and Elevating English Language Learners. And I've already come back and shared information with Dr. Gullett, just understanding how our population of English language learners is growing a lot at a more rapid pace, I think, than we've had in the past. I have seen even more so from that presentation the gaps that we have within the district, and whatever we as a school board can do, whatever I as an individual school board member can do to help with that. I want to move forward with whatever that's going to look like, potentially even increasing my own language skills, because I see the value in that. Not know that I'm necessarily going to commit to that here publicly, but that's where my thought process is going, that it's something that we all need to take seriously in the value of being dual language in all that we do. And the last thing that I wanted to bring up at the board table, since this is our first public meeting that we've had since we had our master board training, kudos to this board for becoming a certified master board. But also something in that last session that was brought forth from FSBA speaks specifically about the board services position and the attorney recommendations from FSBA that were made. And while we understand that what has been chosen for the district staffing plan, in that we have 3 employees that report directly to the board as opposed to just the 2, I would like to request a future work session for us to discuss if this is the correct setup for us based on the information we receive from FSBA and their attorney evaluations and perspectives. So that's a request, Chair, that we do have that as a future agenda item to discuss.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell, and I don't disagree. We've been doing this for a few months, and I think it's worthwhile to review how it's going. So we can add that as a work session topic, Dr. Gullett, in the new year.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right.
That's all.
All right, thank you, Dr. Campbell. All right, Board Member Cummings.
Good morning. Once again, as I entered these comments, I want to start by addressing something the superintendent was saying. Something that the superintendent was saying as far as things that we will not tolerate in this district. We do not condone any bad behavior, definitely threats, definitely the wasting of valuable resources and time. I concur with her that those types of situations need to be dealt with expeditiously. And everyone has a job to do in this district. Education is our primary reason, and to not have education disrupted, or to have it disrupted as it was a couple of days ago, was truly disheartening. I'm grateful that it was just, it was not real, but of that magnitude, I sat and observed that this thing actually almost affected, it affected the entire county in some way. And all of those resources that went to a prank or a hoax, it's just uncalled for. And in the future, when those types of things happen, not only is the person that does it should be held accountable, there has to be some parental accountability as well. Because several hundred kids, educational process was disrupted because of a person. They were cheated out of some valuable instruction time. And I just want to make sure that we, as a district, continue to say that we're not going to tolerate it, and those things will be dealt with. My heart also goes out to those universities that are dealing with those violence on the campus. We're definitely in a different age, and it's unfortunate that we have to even have these conversations. It's unfortunate we have to even have certain things on campuses now, but that's the times that we're living in. So I do want to thank the superintendent for that. And I do want to commend all of the staff, Ms. Connor, as well as all the staff that responded.
We are back after that brief electrical interruption. Board Member Cummings, does that conclude your comments?
It does.
Thank you, sir. Dr. James.
Hi, good morning. I'm grateful that we've had a productive morning today. As it's been mentioned, it was real trial by fire when we got sworn in, and then immediately went into multiple difficult conversations, one being the calendar. And so very grateful for the work that Mr. Frazier led with his committee, and coming to really strong consensus, and I think us as a board moving forward in a direction the community can support. So I know as a board member myself, I have not received a single negative phone call or message regarding the calendar options, which I think speaks volumes, because this time last year I could not say that confidently. So there is so much good work happening. Our calendars are all, every single day, we have things going on our campuses, honoring our teachers, our Golden Apple teachers and staff members yesterday, events, celebrations, dance performances, and every single night there's something going on. And so I want to encourage our families to try to participate as much as possible in their kids' learning experiences, because there are such great things happening on our campuses this month. I do just want to touch on and reiterate the points that many of the other individuals today have shared regarding the events at Horizon Academy this week. I agree wholeheartedly that we cannot tolerate any kind of behavior that is going to cause any level of mass disruption in our community. It's very important for me that we maintain that focus. I also want to mention, because I don't believe it's been mentioned yet, not only was it a disruption in our community, but the children who were in the classrooms that were searched by the SWAT teams and the experience that they had in their classrooms with their educators is one that they're not going to forget. I mentioned it when I got home that night. I mentioned it to my husband, and he was a student at North Marion High School when there was a bomb threat, and he experienced a very similar situation when he was in high school, and he has very vivid memories of that experience. And so these children, because they are children, will remember that day for the rest of their lives, and it's very important to me that we continue in the weeks and even years that come to support our students with psychological services, whatever that looks like, because everyone processes it differently. And I want to ensure that our staff, all of our staff members, and our students who were affected in any way, just seek help with our school counselors and get the support that they need. Even being on the campus that day, there was a lot of police presence. And I want to say I am so grateful at how quickly the amount of police that were there, so quickly. But there were a lot of people with very large guns for a period of time after the school was secured. And that has an impression on individuals, right, wrong, or indifferent. And I just want to stress that if people need support in managing their emotions with that I want them to feel like they can reach out to a school staff member so that we can support them in whatever way that looks like. The Bellevue Parade was wet, and the Denellen Parade was dark.
Our troopers.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to a nice, smooth ride in the Ocala Parade this Saturday. That's not wet or dark. That would be beautiful. But I'm glad that we're able to participate in those events and show the community that we are together and aligned, and we are here for the kids. And so Dr. Campbell said many times in the Bellevue Parade, you know, we are showing our kids what it's like to be have perseverance and dedication and all of the endurance, all of the
Yours
things.
was Denellen.
Well, that
32
yes,
minutes.
Denellen was a very fast pace for sure. But I'm just grateful for the opportunity to continue to serve this community and the work that we're doing. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. James. Vice Chair Conrad.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I really am just going to, most of my comments, reiterate what my fellow board members have shared. I am extremely grateful to be a small part of this team. I agree and feel so strongly with what Reverend Cummings shared, that each individual that serves on this team is here for student success and helping our students move forward each and every day, regardless of the challenges that we face. And so I am extremely thankful and appreciative for that opportunity. Really in this day and age, which we heard at FSBA, to be working with a team that is totally committed to our students and our staff. So thank you to each one of you. The parades were exciting. I was thankful that we were able to show up and participate with the community. We were between two semi-trucks in Denellen, and we did move quickly. It was exciting, and then we did get drenched in Bellevue, so it was a fun time, a wet time, but I am looking forward to Saturday, just like Dr. James shared. Hopefully it will be uneventful. I wanted to touch on the events that happened this week and at Horizon Academy, and I too am just so thankful that our superintendent is passionate about school safety and moving us forward so that we are reevaluating our procedures and how we take action and the communication between law enforcement. And so my children are not in public school anymore, but that is how I choose to look at each situation. How would I feel if it was my child at school? And so I'm thankful that we are constantly looking forward. And it was mentioned earlier, I think Dr. James shared with our communication team and about the time that they spend going above and beyond. Our Safe Schools team is also right in that category. I'm so grateful that Mr. McFadden spent probably an hour on the phone with me the other night, and I'm sure that he did with all board members, going through and updating us, keeping us updated on what's going on. Also, Ms. Talbot Irving reached out and spent a lot of time talking with me, explaining things, answering questions for me. And so, to me, that's the process of becoming better. Reevaluating each decision that was made for the good, for the worst, so that we have ironed out. And that is the one silver lining, I believe, of the incident at Horizon, is it gives us the opportunity to make changes that we see fit, or the team sees fit. And so I'm thankful for law enforcement and our teams here in the district, and for the school staff, that everybody reacted quickly. And I too, Dr. James shared about the piece with the trauma. The trauma piece was important to me too, as we were talking about the loss of instructional time and those students not getting that time back as part of their education. It also is worrisome to me, the trauma that will impact not only the students but the staff at that school. So I too feel it's important that we have support, not just today, not just tomorrow, but in the days and weeks and months to come as maybe issues arrive. And so I'm grateful that we have the staff that can help and guide us through that process. I want to just give a shout out to the Public Education Foundation. Yesterday really was a fabulous day, and we had so many people show up to help us celebrate our Teachers of the Year, Rookie of the Year, our Employee of the Year. And it's not just a celebration and a morale builder for that teacher, it really is for the whole school. Yes. So as we visited 7 schools yesterday, I feel like the entire staff was lifted up and celebrated for the successes that they have each and every day. And so I'm really thankful for that program and the work that they do in our community and supporting our staff members, and look forward to the next part of that as we get prepared for the gala. And I think that is all I have for closing comments today, except for just one more time, thanks for our staff for such a great work session today. Everybody came with lots of information and ready to answer our questions, so thank you to the calendar committee, and thank you for the communication team and all that you do to keep us updated. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Conrad. And I'm going to talk just a minute about resiliency. And I can't think of a better example of resiliency as today is Pearl Harbor Day, a day that will live in infamy. And talk about resiliency, you know? We've been talking about our veterans today and the importance of having resiliency. And as we continue to move through this phase, and, you know, some people say, well, that's the way things are today. No, this is a phase. I refuse to believe that things are going to continue as they are, because I know we are better as a society than what we've been experiencing in recent times. And we are sick of it. Our children deserve better. And as a board, I know we are committed, along with our superintendent and the whole district, to making sure that we do all we can with our fantastic law enforcement partners and our school safety team to be ahead of any situation we possibly can be and get it taken care of and get that any school or area that is affected taken care of as quickly as possible. What I saw yesterday at Horizon, very close in time to what had just happened, was a tremendous commitment to normal, not letting the actions of one individual redefine the culture of that school. And that is absolutely commendable. And I remember I was actually teaching at North Marion High during those years of the bomb threats. And that was incredibly disruptive, and there was more than one of them. There was too many of them, it seemed like. And then they finally figured out a way to identify very quickly, the perpetrators, and then that stopped. So, Dr. James, thank you for mentioning that, because what that tells me is that where there is resiliency, there is commitment, and where there is commitment, there is hope, and where there is hope, there is action. And so I am ready to have this phase be over with. I thank each and every person that is doing everything that they're doing to ensure that trauma is minimized and that the right conversations occur so that everyone feels supported, and we just won't stop until we move into a newer, better phase for all of us. So again, I just would like to thank all of our veterans, and I hope that folks get the opportunity to remember Pearl Harbor. I know in my community there was a brief service this morning that unfortunately I had to miss, but with that, I will also say that I look forward to seeing board members that are able to attend at the Hillcrest Christmas Parade tomorrow. As always, when you come to Hillcrest, you will be uplifted. So that concludes my comments, and if there's no further business, we'll go ahead and conclude at 11:31 a.m. Thank you very much.